Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Crazy Bad Love, written by Kirishima. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Start in School. This story is for those who love Deku Harem. It's not a real plot of the Hero Academia story, this is just a fanfiction and male-x-male ship. It's for our 18+. I hope you enjoy the story. Thanks, K.E.R.T. Before after Chapter 1, Start in School, a bright morning in front of a grand, luxurious school building. Izuku Midoriya, wearing glasses and carrying a backpack full of books, stands awkwardly at the entrance. He looks nervous, adjusting his glasses as he glances at a paper with his section details. Izuku, muttering to himself, Section 2B. Where is that? Oh man, this place is huge, I should have come earlier. He walks into the school, his sneakers squeaking against the polished marble floor. He scans the hallways, completely lost in the maze of corridor. Izuku, anxiously, maybe if I just keep walking, I'll find a sign or something, but what if I'm late? In his distracted state, he bumps into a tall, well-dressed student. The boy adjusts his glasses and looks down at Izuku with a sharp, composed gaze. Ida, apologies. Are you alright? You should watch where you're going. The hallways can get quite busy. Izuku, stammering, I am sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. I'm looking for Section 2B, and I think I'm lost. Ida raises an eyebrow, noticing Izuku's anxious demeanor and the crumpled paper in his hand. Ida, lost, you say? This school can be overwhelming for newcomers. Allow me to assist you. I'm Tenya Ida, the student council president. Izuku, relieved, oh, thank you so much, Ida. I am Izuku Midoriya. It's my first day here. Ida adjusts his tie and nods, beckoning Izuku to follow. A pleasure to meet you, Midoriya. Come this way. If you're looking for Section 2B, it's best we confirm your enrollment with the dean first. It's a standard procedure for new students. Izuku, nervously clutching his bag, the dean. Is that really necessary? I just thought. Ida, interrupting, firmly, of course. It's the proper protocol. We uphold the highest standards at this institution. Follow me, I'll take you there. Ida strides confidently through the hallway, his polished shoes clicking with authority. Izuku hurries to keep up, feeling slightly intimidated but grateful. Izuku, thinking, wow, he's so confident and professional. I wish I could be like that. Maybe I can learn something from him. They approach a large oak door engraved with the words, Dean's Office. Ida knocks firmly before opening the door and gesturing for Izuku to step inside. Ida, Dean-san, this is Izuku Midoriya, a new student who seems to need assistance. I thought it best to bring him to you directly. Dean, smiling warmly, welcome, Midoriya. Come in. Let's get you settled, shall we? Izuku nods nervously as he steps into the office, silently thanking Ida for his help. Izuku, whispering to Ida, thank you so much, Ida. I don't know what I would have done without you. Ida, with a confident smile, think nothing of it, Midoriya. It is my duty as student council president to assist my fellow students. Best of luck on your first day. Ida adjusts his glasses one last time before leaving, his posture upright and composed. Izuku watches him go, feeling a mix of admiration and relief as he turns to face the dean. Izuku, thinking, alright, Izuku, you've got this. Just one step at a time, the scene fades as the dean begins reviewing Izuku's paperwork. The dean's office. The room is elegant, with a large mahogany desk and gold-framed certificates on the walls. The dean, a refined man in his 40s, looks over Izuku's paperwork with a welcoming smile. Dean, Midoriya-kun, I see you've been placed in Section 2B. That makes you a classmate of Ida here. Izuku, eyes widening, AA classmate. With Ida-san. Dean, nodding, that's correct. Ida is one of our most exemplary students. I'm sure you'll find him to be an excellent guide as you adjust to life here. The dean turns to Ida, who stands tall and composed. Dean, Ida, please take Midoriya to your class. Show him around and make sure he feels at home. Ida, bowing, of course, Dean-san. I'll ensure Midoriya-kun gets settled. Dean, smiling at Izuku, welcome to the school, Midoriya-kun. Make the most of this opportunity. We expect great things from you. Izuku, bowing deeply, thank you, sir. I'll do my best. As they leave the office, Izuku trails behind Ida, his eyes darting around in awe at the lavish details of the school. The polished marble floors gleam under the bright chandeliers, and the walls are adorned with framed artwork in gold accents. Izuku, excitedly, this place is incredible. It's like something out of a palace. Ida, glancing back with a small smile, our school takes pride in maintaining an environment that reflects excellence and tradition. Everything you see is designed to inspire discipline and ambition in its students. They pass a group of students walking by in their immaculate uniforms, rich red blazers with gold embroidery, black trousers or skirts, and elegant ties. Each uniform bears a golden crest on the chest. Izuku, staring in amazement, even the uniforms they're so well made. The fabric looks so expensive. Ida, nodding, they are tailored to each student. The red represents strength, gold signifies honor, and black conveys formality and tradition. Wearing it is a privilege. Izuku, thinking, I can't believe I'm here. This school feels like another world compared to my old one. As they continue down the hall, Izuku catches glimpses of grand staircases, state-of-the-art classrooms, and manicured courtyards through large windows. He tries to take it all in but feels overwhelmed by the sheer opulence. Izuku, out loud, wow, everything here feels so perfect. How did I even get lucky enough to be accepted? Ida, adjusting his glasses, luck is only a small factor. You earned your place here, Midoriya-kun. Now it's up to you to prove yourself worthy of it. They finally arrive at a set of grand double doors with "To Be" elegantly engraved in gold. Ida pushes the doors open and steps inside with a commanding presence. Ida, to the class, everyone, this is Izuku Midoriya. He's joining us starting today. Please welcome him warmly. Izuku steps forward, nervously adjusting his glasses. The class looks at him curiously, some offering polite smiles, others whispering among themselves. Izuku, nervously but with determination, hello, everyone. My name is Izuku Midoriya. I'm really excited to be here, and I promise to do my best. Ida gestures to an empty seat near the window. Ida, Midoriya, you can take the seat by the window. It's a good spot for both focus and inspiration. Izuku nods, walking to his seat and sitting down. As he looks out the window at the sprawling gardens and fountains, a small smile forms on his face. Izuku, thinking, this is it. My chance to start fresh. I won't waste it. The bell rings, signaling the start of class as the teacher enters. The classroom is quiet, the students seated attentively as the teacher, a middle-aged man with a stern but calm demeanor, writes a complex math equation on the board. Teacher, alright, class, today we'll be diving into quadratic equations. Please take out your notebooks and follow along. This will be on your next assessment. The students begin writing, the room filled with the sound of pens scratching against paper. Izuku, sitting by the window, watches intently, eager to absorb every word. Izuku, thinking, this is so different from my old school. Everyone's so focused, I really need to keep up. Suddenly, the door swings open loudly, breaking the quiet atmosphere. Two boys stroll in, completely ignoring the teacher's sharp glare. Teacher, frowning, Todoroki. Bakugo. You're late again. Do you have any idea how disruptive this is? The first boy, Shoto Todoroki, with mismatched red and white hair, stares at the teacher with a blank, almost bored expression. The second, Katsuki Bakugo, with spiky blonde hair and a scowl, crosses his arms and huffs impatiently. Todoroki, calmly, we're here now, aren't we? That should be enough. Bakugo, snapping, yeah, quit wasting time yelling and get back to teaching. You're cutting into our time. The class falls silent, some students whispering nervously. Izuku watches the scene with wide eyes, unsure how to react. Teacher, raising his voice, both of you, sit down. This kind of behavior will not be tolerated. If you think you can keep disrupting this class, you're sorely mistaken. Bakugo rolls his eyes but strides to his seat, dropping into it with an audible thud. Todoroki, moving more gracefully, takes his seat without a word, maintaining his indifferent expression. Teacher, pointing a finger at them, this is your last warning, both of you. Next time, you'll be sent straight to the dean's office. Do I make myself clear? Bakugo, muttering under his breath, yeah, whatever. Todoroki, quietly, understood. The teacher sighs heavily, pinching the bridge of his nose before turning back to the board. Teacher, let's get back to the lesson. Midoriya, I trust you've been paying attention. Izuku, startled, why yes, sir. As the teacher continues the lecture, Izuku sneaks at Todoroki and Bakugo. Todoroki sits calmly, flipping through his textbook with a detached air, while Bakugo slouches in his chair, glaring at the equations as if they personally offended him. Izuku, thinking, they're so different from the other students here, so confident, like they don't care about anyone's opinion. I wonder what their story is. Todoroki glances out the window, his face unreadable, while Bakugo taps his pen against the desk, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Izuku, thinking, nervously, I should probably avoid them, but something tells me that's not going to be easy. The scene ends with the class continuing as normal, though the tension from Todoroki and Bakugo's arrival lingers in the air. The class ends, and students begin packing up their belongings. Shoto Todoroki and Katsuki Bakugo, still seated, glance over at Izuku, who is nervously organizing his notes. Todoroki's POV, Shoto rests his chin on his hand, his mismatched eyes narrowing slightly as he watches Izuku from across the room. Todoroki, thinking, that's someone new. I don't recognize him. The glasses, the overly tidy uniform, the nervous energy, definitely not someone who's been here long. Probably a new transfer. He doesn't seem like much. He shifts his gaze back to the window, dismissing Izuku with a faint sigh. Todoroki, thinking, doesn't matter. He's just another student. As long as he doesn't get in my way, I don't care who he is. Bakugo's POV, Bakugo leans back in his chair, arms crossed, glaring at Izuku with his usual scowl. Bakugo, thinking, who the hell is this nerd? New kid, huh? Looks like he belongs in a library, not this school. TCH, figures they'd let someone like him in. His eyes narrow further as he watches Izuku fumble with his books. Bakugo, thinking, bet he's some goody two-shoes who's gonna try too hard. Ugh, people like that pisses me off. Bakugo stands abruptly, shoving his chair back with a loud screech, catching Todoroki's attention. Bakugo, gruffly, oi, Todoroki. Let's go. I'm starving. Todoroki, calmly standing, fine. The others are probably already in the cafeteria. The cafeteria. A spacious, luxurious hall with high ceilings, crystal chandeliers, and rows of long, polished tables. Todoroki and Bakugo enter, scanning the room for their group. At a corner table, a group of boys waves them over. Kaminari, grinning, yo. Over here, you guys. Took you long enough. Todoroki and Bakugo approach the table. Sitting there are Denki Kaminari, Eijiro Kirishima, Hanta Sero, Rody Soul, Hitoshi Shinso, and Guilio Gandini, all casually chatting. Kirishima, grinning at Bakugo, finally. Thought you guys were gonna skip lunch or something. Bakugo, gruffly, shut it. Some teacher wouldn't stop yapping. Sero, teasing, did you get yelled at again for being late? Classic Bakugo. Bakugo, glaring, say that again, tape face. Kaminari, laughing, relax, man. We're just messing with you. Todoroki sits down quietly, his expression neutral as he picks at his food. Rody, leaning back in his chair, so, anything interesting happened today? Or was it the usual grind? Todoroki, calmly, there's a new student in our class. Shinso, raising an eyebrow, new student. That's rare. What's he like? Bakugo, snorting, a nerd. Glasses, messy hair, probably some overachiever type. Kirishima, curious, really. I didn't hear anything about a new guy coming in. Todoroki, shrugging, he seems harmless. Probably just trying to keep his head down. Guilio, smirking, poor guy doesn't know what he's walked into, being in the same class as you two. Bakugo, smirking arrogantly, DMN right. If he can't keep up, that's his problem. Kaminari, grinning, well, if he's sticking around, we'll probably meet him soon enough. Might as well give the guy a chance. Bakugo, rolling his eyes, whatever. Just don't expect me to hold his hand. The group laughs and continues their conversation, the topic shifting as they enjoy their lunch. Todoroki, however, remains quiet, his mind briefly drifting back to the nervous, bookish new student from earlier. Todoroki, thinking, I wonder how long he'll last here. The scene fades as the group's chatter blends with the bustling noise of the cafeteria. The school garden. The lush greenery and colorful flowers create a serene atmosphere. Izuku sits alone on a wooden bench under a large tree, happily eating his neatly packed lunch. He adjusts his glasses and looks around, enjoying the peaceful moment. Izuku's POV, Izuku smiles to himself, the gentle breeze ruffling his hair as he chews on his sandwich. Izuku, thinking, this place is amazing. Even the garden feels like something out of a storybook. I didn't think I'd find a moment like this in such a grand school. It's nice to have some quiet time after all the nerves this morning. He takes a sip of his drink, feeling more relaxed. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps catches his attention. He looks up to see 4 students approaching him, Tenya Ida, Masahiro Ojiro, Kyoka Jairu, and Ochako Uraraka. They all seem friendly, smiling as they reach him. Ida, adjusting his glasses with a formal tone, Midoriya-kun, there you are. I've been looking for you. May we join you? Izuku, blinking, startled, oh, of course. Please, go ahead. The group sits around him, their cheerful energy immediately filling the space. Ida takes the lead, as usual. Ida, allow me to properly introduce everyone. You've already met me, but this is Masahiro Ojiro. Ojiro, nodding politely, hey, nice to meet you. I'm in the same section as you and Ida. Ida, next is Kyoka Jairu. Jairu, giving a small wave, hey, what's up? Don't let these guys overwhelm you. Ida, and last but not least, Ochako Uraraka. Uraraka, grinning brightly, hi, Midoriya-kun. It's great to finally meet you. I heard you're new, so we thought we'd come and say hello. Izuku, blushing slightly, overwhelmed but happy, thank you. It's nice to meet all of you. And please, just call me Izuku. Ida, nodding, very well, Izuku-kun. We were discussing earlier about forming a study group, and we thought you might want to join us. We're all in the same year, so it would be beneficial for everyone to work together. Uraraka, leaning forward excitedly, yeah. It'll be fun, and we can help each other with tough subjects. What do you think? Izuku, eyes widening, a study group. That sounds amazing. I'd love to join. Thank you for inviting me. Jairu, smirking, cool. Just be ready for Ida to turn it into a full-on lecture series. Ida, frowning slightly, Jairu-san, I merely aim for structure and productivity. Ojiro, laughing, don't worry, Midoriya. It's not as intense as it sounds. We usually keep it pretty casual. Izuku, smiling brightly, this sounds perfect. I was worried about keeping up with the classes here, but with your help, I think I'll be okay. Uraraka, we've got your back, Izuku-kun. The group continues chatting, sharing stories about their classes and interests. Izuku feels a sense of warmth and belonging for the first time since arriving at the school. Izuku, thinking, I was so nervous about starting over here, but maybe things will be okay. I think I've found some great friends already. The scene fades with the group laughing together, the sound of their voices blending with the gentle rustle of the garden leaves. Chapter 2, Death Row and Vipers. Chapter 2, Death Row and Vipers, the school library. The atmosphere is quiet, with tall shelves lined with books, sunlight streaming in through large arched windows. Izuku, Uraraka, Jiraiya, and Ojiro sit around a table with open textbooks, working on their assignments. Uraraka, stretching, wow, this place is so fancy, even for a library. I feel like I have to whisper more than usual. Jiraiya, smirking, it's just a library, Uraraka. Though, yeah, it's a little intimidating. Izuku, adjusting his glasses, smiling nervously, it's my first time here. The collection is incredible. I think I could spend hours just looking through all the books. Ojiro, chuckling, careful, Midoriya. You'll lose track of time and end up locked in here overnight. The group laughs softly as they settle back into studying. After a moment, Ojiro glances at Izuku, a curious expression crossing his face. Ojiro, hey, Midoriya, you're a transfer student, right? Izuku, nodding, why yeah, I just started today. Why do you ask? Ojiro, lowering his voice slightly, well, there's something you should know about this school. I mean, you'll probably hear about it sooner or later, but I figured I'd warn you now. Izuku looks up from his notebook, confused but intrigued. Uraraka and Jiraiya exchange glances, their expressions turning serious. Izuku, blinking, warn me. About what? Ojiro, leaning in slightly, have you heard of a group called the Death Row? Izuku, confused, the Death Row. No, what's that? Uraraka, frowning, it's a nickname for a group of students here. They're not exactly the friendliest people. Jiraiya, nodding, yeah, they're trouble. They act like they own the school because they come from insanely rich families. Think of them as a gang of spoiled brats with too much money and power. Izuku, nervously, a G-gang. In a school like this. Ojiro, seriously, they're not your typical gang, but they're definitely dangerous to mess with. They do whatever they want, and no one really stops them. Even the teachers look the other way most of the time. Uraraka, quietly, they call themselves the Death Row because people say they destroy anyone who gets on their bad side. It's just a rumor, but no one's willing to test it. Izuku, frowning, that's awful. How can they get away with something like that? Jiraiya, shrugging, money talks, Midoriya. Their families have a lot of influence, and it's easier for the school to pretend nothing's wrong. Izuku, thinking, a group like that in a place like this. I never expected something so dark. Ojiro, placing a hand on Izuku's shoulder, listen, Midoriya. Just stay out of their way. Don't get involved, and don't draw their attention. You'll be fine as long as you keep your head down. Uraraka, smiling reassuringly, yeah, don't worry. You've got us. We'll help you navigate all this. Jiraiya, grinning slightly, and if they ever bother you, just let us know. I'm not afraid to give them a piece of my mind. Izuku, smiling hesitantly, thanks, everyone, I'll be careful. Despite their reassurances, Izuku can't shake the uneasy feeling of settling in his stomach. The thought of such a group existing in this school makes him question what other secrets might be hidden beneath the surface. Izuku, thinking, I just got here, and there's already so much I don't understand about this place. But I'll find a way to make it work. I have to. The scene ends with the group returning to their studies, but the mention of the death row lingers in Izuku's mind like a shadow over the bright, luxurious school. The school backyard. A quiet, secluded area with a few trees and benches, far from the bustling parts of the campus. The atmosphere here is tense, the air thick with unease. In the center of the space, a lone student stands, trembling as he faces the intimidating group known as the death row. Surrounding him are Katsuki Bakugo, Shoto Todoroki, Eijiro Kirishima, Denki Kaminari, Hanta Sero, Guilio Gandini, Hitoshi Shinso, and Rody Soul. Each member radiates a dangerous, unapproachable aura. Bakugo, grinning viciously, so, you think you're some big shot, huh? Talking CRP about Kaminari behind his back. Todoroki, coldly, you should have thought twice before running your mouth. Words have consequences. Kirishima, crossing his arms, it's not very manly to talk bad about people when they're not around, you know. Kaminari, mocking, yeah, what's the matter? Cat got your tongue now. Weren't so quiet earlier, were you? The student, a younger boy with glasses and a shy demeanor, stammers as he tries to explain himself, his voice shaking. Student, I didn't mean it. I swear. I was just joking. Sero, leaning against a tree, joking. Sure didn't sound like a joke to me. Maybe you need to learn how to pick your words better. Shinso, smirking, his tone dripping with sarcasm, or maybe he just needs to learn how to stay out of our way. Guilio, stepping closer, his sharp, calculating eyes narrowing, you think you can insult one of us and get away with it. That's not how things work around here. Rody, sighing dramatically, man, this is such a waste of time. Just apologize to Kaminari properly and maybe we'll let you off easy. The student stumbles backward, his eyes darting between the members of the group, fear evident on his face. Bakugo steps forward, his presence overwhelming. Bakugo, growling, apologize. You think that's enough? You disrespected one of my guys, and you think a little, sorry, is gonna cut it. The student flinches, his knees buckling slightly as he lowers his head in SBMSN. Student. Desperately, I am sorry. I didn't mean to insult Kaminari. Please, I won't do it again. Kaminari watches the student grovel, a smug smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. Bakugo, however, isn't satisfied. Bakugo, tch, pathetic. Next time you even think about messing with any of us, you'll regret it. Got it. The student nods rapidly, tears threatening to spill as he stammers out more apologies. Todoroki watches silently, his expression unreadable, while the others chuckle at the display. Shinso, leaning back against the tree, I think he's had enough for today, don't you? Bakugo, snorting, whatever. Just remember don't mess with us again. The death row group turns and walks away, leaving the student trembling in the backyard. Bakugo leads the way, his hands shoved into his pockets, a satisfied smirk on his face. Kirishima, grinning, that'll teach him not to mess with us. Kaminari, laughing, yeah, he's not gonna forget this anytime soon. Todoroki, quietly, let's hope he doesn't make the same mistake twice. As they disappear around the corner, the student collapses onto the ground, breathing heavily. The scene lingers on the quiet backyard, the tension slowly dissipating but leaving behind an air of fear and intimidation. The school library. Most of the students have left, and the atmosphere is calm, with only the occasional sound of pages turning. Uraraka and Jiraiya stand to leave, waving at Izuku and Ojiro. Uraraka, cheerfully, sorry, Midoriya-kun, we have to go. Our club meeting starts soon. Jiraiya, smirking, yeah, don't study too hard without us. See you tomorrow. Izuku, smiling, sure, see you both later. The girls leave, and now it's just Izuku and Ojiro seated at the table. Izuku looks thoughtful for a moment, then hesitantly turns to Ojiro. Izuku, curiously, hey, Ojiro earlier, you told me about the death row gang. Do they, have a rival group or anything? Ojiro's expression darkens slightly at the question, and he glances around to make sure no one else is listening. He leans in closer to Izuku. Ojiro, lowering his voice, yeah, they do. They're called the Vipers. Izuku, blinking, the Vipers. What are they like? Ojiro, seriously, they're just as bad as the Death Row, maybe even worse. If the Death Row acts like they run the school, the Vipers are the ones who thrive on chaos. They don't care about maintaining a reputation, they just want to dominate through fear and violence. Izuku, nervously, worse. How so? Ojiro, frowning, the Death Row has their own rules. They're cruel, but they have boundaries. The Vipers. They don't. If someone crosses them, they won't just stop at insults or intimidation. They'll go as far as it takes to make sure their victim is completely broken. Izuku, shocked, that's horrible. Ojiro, nodding, yeah. Most students are terrified of them. They've got no mercy, and they don't care if someone begs or tries to apologize. Once you're on their radar, it's almost impossible to get off it. Izuku, thinking, 2 gangs in one school, how does this place even function with all this going on? Izuku, tentatively, do the Death Row and the Vipers fight each other? Ojiro, grimly, sometimes, yeah. It's not common, though. Both groups have their own territories and circles of influence, so they try to avoid stepping on each other's toes. But when they do clash, it gets ugly. Izuku, concerned, why hasn't the school done anything about them? Ojiro, shrugging, money and power, Midoriya. Both groups come from families with a lot of influence. The school probably figures it's easier to turn a blind eye than to risk upsetting their parents. Izuku, thinking, this place is so different from what I imagined. I thought it would be a fresh start, but it's so much more complicated than that. Ojiro, placing a reassuring hand on Izuku's shoulder, don't worry too much, though. As long as you keep your head down and stay out of their way, you'll be fine. Besides, you've got us now. We'll help you. Izuku, smiling faintly, thanks, Ojiro. I'll try to stay out of trouble. The two continue studying, but Izuku can't help the uneasy feeling in his chest as the names Death Row and Vipers echo in his mind. He knows that avoiding them might not be as easy as it sounds. The school gate. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the luxurious campus. Izuku, Ida, and Ojiro stand by the gate, waiting for Uraraka and Jairu. Ida is pacing back and forth, his phone in hand. Ida, frowning, she's not picking up. I've called twice already. Izuku, looking worried, it's already 2 hours, Ojiro, nervously glancing back at the school, maybe their club meeting ran late. Should we wait a bit longer? Ida, adjusting his glasses, no, something feels off. Let's go back inside and check on them. Izuku, nodding, yeah, let's go. The three make their way back into the building. The hallways are quieter now, with only a few students lingering as they finish up for the day. Suddenly, they hear faint murmurs and whispers coming from the direction of the courtyard. Ojiro, whispering, what's that? It sounds like a crowd. Ida, frowning, let's investigate. Quickly. They follow the noise and eventually reach the courtyard, where a large group of students has gathered. The crowd is murmuring and watching intently, forming a loose circle around something. Izuku, Ida, and Ojiro carefully sneak closer, weaving through the students to get a better look. What they see stops them in their tracks. At the center of the crowd, Uraraka and Jairu are on their knees, tears streaming down their faces. They're cornered by a group of intimidating boys, all wearing the school's sharp, luxurious uniforms with a careless flair. Bakugo Katsuki stands in the center, an ice cream stain smeared across his pristine jacket. He's glaring down at Uraraka with pure fury. Bakugo, growling, you think it's funny? Spilling this CRP on me. Uraraka, sobbing, I didn't mean to. It was an accident, I swear. Jairu, Angrily, through tears, leave her alone, UJRK. She already said she's sorry. Todoroki, coldly, sorry doesn't fix a ruined uniform. Kirishima, grinning, trying to act light-hearted, come on, Bakugo. Don't be too harsh. It's just ice cream. Bakugo, snapping, shut it, Kirishima. No one messes with me and gets away with it. Izuku watches, his heart pounding. His eyes widen as he recognizes Bakugo from earlier in class, but his attention is also drawn to the other boys surrounding him. Their confident, imposing stances make it clear they're not just random students. Izuku, whispering to Ojiro, is that? Ojiro, nodding nervously, yeah. That's the DEATHROW. Izuku's stomach churns. He doesn't know all of their names, but the presence of Todoroki, Kirishima, Kaminari, Sero, Guilio, Shinso, and Rody is impossible to miss. They're all standing around like a pack of predators, watching their leader take charge. Ida, whispering, furious, this is unacceptable. We have to stop this. Ojiro, grabbing Ida's arm, are you crazy? If we step in, we'll just become their next targets. Izuku, hesitant but determined, but we can't just leave them like this. They need help. The three boys exchange a tense glance. Izuku clenches his fists, feeling a mix of fear and anger bubbling inside him as he watches his friends being humiliated. He knows stepping in is dangerous, but the sight of Uraraka and Jiru's tears pushes him to make a decision. Izuku, whispering, I can't just stand here. As the tension in the courtyard continues to rise, the crowd murmurs in anticipation of what might happen next. Izuku takes a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest, as he prepares to step forward. The scene fades, leaving the conflict hanging in the air, the sound of Bakugo's voice still ringing out over the quiet murmurs of the crowd. Chapter 3, Don't Mess With Me. Hey, I'm back. Sorry I was so busy on school works. I have finally finished my research proposal and the panel chose our paper as the best research paper because its unique grinning squinting face. I'm so happy. Alright, I'll shut up now and let you read Kissing Face. Chapter 3, Don't Mess With Me. Teehee courtyard, tense and thick with the murmurs of the gathered crowd. Laughter ripples through the onlookers as Bakugo grips Uraraka's hair, yanking her forward. Her tears glisten under the setting sun, mixing with the dirt on the ground. Bakugo, growling, if you're really sorry, then prove it. Apologize like you mean it and lick the mud. Uraraka, sobbing, please I didn't mean to dash. Bakugo, cutting her off, do it. The DEATHROW members watch with amused smirks. Todoroki leans against a tree, his arms crossed. Kirishima chuckles awkwardly, though there's a flicker of unease in his eyes. Kaminari, Sero, Guilio, Shinso, and Rody stand by, clearly enjoying the show. Kaminari, grinning, man, this is brutal, Bakugo. She's already crying. You really want to make her do it? Bakugo, snapping, shut up, Kaminari. She's lucky I'm not doing worse. As the crowd's laughter grows louder, Izuku steps forward, trembling but determined. Ida and Ojiro grab at his arm, trying to hold him back. Ida, whispering harshly, Midoriya, no. You'll only make it worse. Ojiro, pleading, seriously, don't get involved. They'll destroy you. Izuku, shaking them off, I can't just stand here and watch this. Izuku strides into the center of the crowd, his heart pounding but his glare unwavering. The laughter dies down as people notice him stepping in. Izuku, calm but firm, that's enough. Bakugo freezes mid-action, his eyes narrowing as he slowly turns to face Izuku. The smirk on his face twists into something darker. Bakugo, mocking, well, what do we have here? The nerd loser from class actually has a spine. You got a death wish, 4 eyes. Izuku, glaring, his voice steady, let her go. And leave Jiru alone, too. What kind of coward picks on people who can't fight back? The crowd gasps softly, and a wave of murmurs ripples through them. The death row members exchange amused glances, except for Kirishima, who looks a little uncomfortable. Todoroki, coldly, you must be new here. You don't seem to understand how things work. Bakugo, laughing humorlessly, you really think you can talk to me like that? A nerd like you. You're dead meat. Izuku, sarcastically, oh, I'm shaking. What are you gonna do, yell at me louder? Throw a tantrum because you got ice cream on your uniform. The crowd bursts into hushed murmurs, some of them even stifling laughs. Bakugo's face contorts with anger as he takes a step toward Izuku, his fists clenched. Izuku doesn't back down. Bakugo, seething, you've got a lot of nerve, loser. Keep running that mouth, and I'll dash. Before Bakugo can finish, Izuku grabs the drink from his bag and, without hesitation, throws it at Bakugo, drenching his shirt. The crowd gasps audibly, the courtyard falling into stunned silence. Izuku, calmly, but with an edge, you're not gonna touch my friends. Not today, not ever. You got that. Bakugo stares down at his soaked uniform, his expression unreadable for a moment before twisting into a furious grin. The death row members stand frozen, shocked at Izuku's boldness. Bakugo, grinning maniacally, you're dead, nerd. You hear me? Dead. Izuku, stepping closer, voice unwavering, maybe. But at least I won't be a bully hiding behind his friends. Now, back off. For a moment, it seems like Bakugo might lash out, but the murmurs of the crowd remind him of the attention they're attracting. His smirk returns, though his eyes burn with fury. Bakugo, mocking, fine. You've got guts, nerd. Let's see how far that gets you in this school. He releases Uraraka's hair and steps back, gesturing for the others to follow. The death row members exchange glances before reluctantly moving away, though Kaminari and Sero look disappointed the fun ended. Kirishima gives Izuku a curious glance but doesn't say anything. Bakugo, as he walks away, over his shoulder, this isn't over, 4 eyes. Watch your back. As the death row group disappears into the crowd, the tension finally breaks. Izuku kneels down to help Uraraka and Jiraiya to their feet. Uraraka, sniffling, Midoriya-kun, thank you. Jiraiya, grateful, though shaken, yeah, that was amazing, but are you crazy? Izuku, smiling softly, maybe. But I couldn't just stand by and let them hurt you. Ida and Ojiro rush forward, relief and worry etched on their faces. Ida, scolding, Midoriya. Do you realize what you've done? You've made yourself a target. Ojiro, nervously, they're not going to let this go, Midoriya. Be careful. Izuku, nodding, determined, I know. But someone has to stand up to them. As the group helps Uraraka and Jiraiya away, Izuku glances back at the crowd, now dispersing. He knows he's just made enemies of the most dangerous group in the school, but he doesn't regret his actions. For the first time, he feels a spark of courage growing within him. The scene fades as Izuku walks with his friends, the weight of what's to come heavy on his shoulders but his resolve unwavering. Izuku's home, a cozy and welcoming apartment. The smell of freshly cooked katsudon fills the air as Izuku walks through the door, dropping his bag by the entrance. Inko, cheerfully from the kitchen, Izuku. Welcome home. Dinner's ready, your favorite, katsudon. Izuku, smiling, trying to mask his exhaustion, thanks, Mom. It smells amazing. Izuku washes up and sits at the dining table. Inko places a steaming bowl of katsudon in front of him, her warm smile lighting up the room. Inko, sitting across from him, so, how was your first day at your new school? Did everything go okay? Izuku, nodding, taking a bite of his food, it was good. The school's really impressive. The campus is huge, and the classrooms are so modern. Inko, smiling proudly, I'm so glad to hear that. And what about the other students? Did you make any friends? Izuku, smiling softly, yeah, I did. There's Ida, he's really responsible and part of the student council. And Uraraka and Jairu, they're both really nice. Ojiro's cool too, he's been helping me get used to everything. Inko, clasping her hands together, that's wonderful, Izuku. I knew you'd do great. You've always been so kind and hardworking, of course people would want to be your friend. Izuku's smile falters slightly as he thinks back to the confrontation with the Death Row gang. He hesitates for a moment but decides not to tell her about it. He doesn't want to worry about his mom, especially on his first day. Izuku, quickly changing the subject, so, how was your day, Mom? Did you finish that new knitting project you were working on? Inko, excitedly, oh, yes. I finally finished the scarf. I was thinking of making another one, maybe in green this time. What do you think? Izuku, chuckling, green sounds perfect. You're really good at it, Mom. They continue chatting. Over dinner, the warmth of the conversation helping Izuku momentarily forget the tension from earlier. As he finishes his katsudon, he feels a sense of comfort being home, but deep down, he knows tomorrow at school might bring more challenges. Inko, smiling as she clears the table, I'm so proud of you, Izuku. Just remember, no matter what happens, you can always talk to me, okay? Izuku, softly, thanks, Mom. I'll remember. As Izuku heads to his room to prepare for the next day, he can't shake the image of Bakugo's furious smirk or the lingering tension in the courtyard. He takes a deep breath, reminding himself that he stood up for his friends today and he's ready to do it again if he has to. The scene fades as Izuku sits at his desk, organizing his notes and staring out the window at the night sky, determination flickering in his eyes. The school cafeteria, bustling with students chatting and enjoying their meals. Izuku stands in line, quietly waiting to order his food. He adjusts his glasses and glances at the menu, trying to decide what to get. Suddenly, something small and light hits the back of his shirt, a crumpled piece of trash. Izuku tenses but ignores it, brushing it off and stepping forward in line. Moments later, another piece of trash lands near his feet. He clenches his jaw but keeps his composure. It happens again, and this time, it hits his tray. Izuku, muttering to himself, just ignore it, don't make a scene, he takes a deep breath and turns to pick up his food. However, as he starts to walk away, he hears muffled laughter behind him. Curiosity and irritation finally get the better of him, and he turns around. There, at a nearby table, sits the Death Row gang: Bakugo, Todoroki, Kirishima, Kaminari, Sero, Shinso, Guilio, and Rody. They're all lounging casually, smirking and watching him like predators sizing up their prey. Bakugo leans back in his chair, his signature arrogant grin plastered on his face. Bakugo, mocking, what's the matter, nerd? Got trash on you? Must be where it belongs. The others snicker, Kaminari in particular giving a playful grin as he picks up his drink. Bakugo nudges him with an elbow. Bakugo, oi, dunce face. Do the honors. Kaminari hesitates for a moment, glancing at Izuku. But with Bakugo's expectant gaze on him, he smirks and nods, picking up his drink. As Kaminari lifts it, ready to toss the liquid at Izuku, Izuku's sharp instincts kick in. In a flash, Izuku sidesteps the drink, letting it spill harmlessly onto the floor. Before Kaminari can react, Izuku moves with surprising speed, grabbing a cafeteria tray and slamming it down on the table in front of Kaminari, pinning his arm down. The loud clang of the tray silences the cafeteria, all eyes turning toward the scene. Izuku, glaring, voice low and dangerous, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm not someone you can mess with. The Death Row gang freezes, momentarily shocked by Izuku's sudden boldness. Kaminari stares up at him, wide-eyed and speechless. Even Bakugo raises an eyebrow, though his expression quickly shifts back to a scowl. Izuku, still glaring, his voice steady, this is my first and last warning, stay out of my way, and don't drag me or my friends into your childish games again. With that, Izuku releases Kaminari, letting him slump back into his seat. The tray clatters onto the table as Izuku adjusts his glasses, his glare sweeping over the rest of the gang. They're all watching him in stunned silence, not expecting such a response from the nerd. Bakugo's grin returns, but there's a flicker of something behind his eyes: annoyance, curiosity, or perhaps even respect. Todoroki, however, simply narrows his eyes, studying Izuku intently. Bakugo, mocking but intrigued: "You've got guts, nerd. I'll give you that. But don't think for a second you're off the hook." Izuku doesn't respond. He picks up his food and walks out of the cafeteria without another word, the eyes of the entire room following him. As the door swings shut behind him, the Death Row gang sits in stunned silence for a moment before Bakugo lets out a sharp laugh. Bakugo, grinning: "This is gonna be fun." The rest of the gang exchanges uneasy glances, unsure what to make of the situation. Todoroki watches the door where Izuku exited, his expression unreadable. Todoroki, quietly: "He's not like the others." Shinso: "Yeah, he has the guts to talk back, he's not easy to bully." The scene shifts to Izuku walking down the hallway, his heart pounding. He takes a deep breath, calming himself as he heads toward the library. Though he feels the weight of what just happened, he doesn't regret it. A faint smile crosses his face as he thinks to himself. Izuku, thinking, "They'll learn. I'm not someone to be pushed around." The scene fades as Izuku continues down the hallway, his resolve growing stronger with every step. The school gym, where the Death Row gang is gathered playing basketball. The sound of sneakers squeaking on the floor and the occasional thud of the ball echoes through the space. Some of the members are casually shooting hoops while others lounge on the sidelines. Kirishima, bouncing the ball idly: "Man, I still can't believe what happened earlier. Did you guys see how fast that nerd moved? His reflexes were crazy." Rody, leaning against the wall, arms crossed: "Come on, Kirishima. The guy probably just got lucky. Right place, right time." Bakugo, catching the ball mid-pass and gripping it tightly: "Lucky. Ha. That nerd's about to learn the hard way that nobody messes with me. I'll make his life here a living hell." Sero, sitting on the bench, spinning a ball on his finger: "I don't know, man. That guy didn't seem like he was bluffing. He didn't even flinch when he pinned Denki. Most people would have backed down, but not him." Todoroki, quietly observing from the side, arms crossed: "He's different." Shinso, nodding slightly, his tone neutral: "Definitely not what I expected from a nerd." Denki, sitting on the bench with his head down, winces slightly as he stretches his arm. The other boys notice and pause their conversation. Bakugo narrows his eyes, tossing the ball aside. Bakugo, gruffly: "What's with you, dunce face? You still crying over what happened earlier?" Denki, shaking his head: "No," but he hesitates before pulling up his sleeve and lifting his shirt slightly to show his arm and chest: "Look at this." Bruises have already started forming where Izuku pinned him with the tray. The dark marks stand out starkly against his skin, drawing stunned looks from the others. Kirishima, wide-eyed: "Whoa. He really did a number on you." Sero, leaning forward, inspecting the bruises: "Okay, yeah. That's not just luck. That nerd's got some serious strength." Rody, furrowing his brow: "Strength or not, he's still just one guy. We're Death Row. He doesn't stand a chance against us." Todoroki, speaking up, his tone is thoughtful: "Maybe. But he's not just a nerd." Shinso, glances at Denki's bruises again before locking eyes with Bakugo. "You're underestimating him, Bakugo." Bakugo, scoffing, though there's a flicker of annoyance in his eyes: "Tch. He got one lucky shot. Big deal. I don't care how fast or strong he is, I'll crush him." Shinso, tilting his head: "Crush him how? He's already got a group of friends backing him up. You think he's just gonna roll over because you say so?" Bakugo smirks, his usual arrogance shining through as he leans back against the wall. Bakugo, confidently, doesn't matter who's backing him. He's gonna break. Everyone does when they go up against me. The group falls into a brief silence, each of them processing the earlier encounter in their own way. Kirishima looks conflicted, Sero appears wary, and Todoroki remains deep in thought. Shinso's expression is unreadable, while Denki gingerly lowers his shirt and leans back, still wincing. Kirishima, after a moment, quietly, I don't know, man. Something tells me that guy's not the type to break so easily. Bakugo narrows his eyes but doesn't respond. Todoroki glances at Kirishima, his expression unreadable but clearly considering his words. Todoroki, to himself, softly, Midoriya, what are you hiding? The scene shifts as the Death Row gang resumes their game, but the tension in the air lingers. Though Bakugo's bravado remains intact, the others can't shake the image of Izuku standing his ground in the cafeteria, defying their expectations entirely. Chapter 4, Hidden Softness, Chapter 4, Hidden Softness, see last room, morning. Izuku enters, adjusting his glasses and holding his books tightly. The room is abuzz with murmurs, students whispering to each other as they glance at him. Izuku furrows his brow, confused but trying to ignore the attention. As he approaches his desk, his steps falter. His chair is vandalized with cruel, hurtful words scribbled in bold letters, nerd, loser, no it all. Glue and chewed gum are smeared across the seat and desk. Izuku freezes, his grip on his books tightening as he processes the scene. The murmurs grow louder, and some students stifle laughter. Izuku looks around and sees Bakugo lounging in the corner, arms crossed, a smug smirk plastered on his face. Todoroki sits beside him, his expression neutral but his eyes sharp, watching silently. Bakugo, mocking, loud enough for everyone to hear, oh, what's wrong, nerd? Didn't know you had fans. Looks like someone wanted to welcome you properly. The classroom chuckles nervously, some students glancing between Izuku and Bakugo. Todoroki doesn't join in, merely observing the situation. Izuku, gritting his teeth, his voice steady, you think this is funny, Bakugo? Bakugo, grinning wider, DMN right I do. Someone's gotta remind you where you belong. You're nothing but a wannabe big shot in a place you don't fit in. Izuku places his books on the desk beside his ruined seat, glaring at Bakugo with barely restrained anger. Izuku, calm but firm, you've got way too much time on your hands if this is what you think fun looks like. Honestly, it's kind of pathetic. The smirk on Bakugo's face falters for a split second before returning, though there's a flicker of anger in his eyes. The room falls silent, tension thick in the air. Bakugo, leaning forward, voice low and threatening, what did you just say, nerd? Izuku stands his ground, his glare unwavering. He feels the weight of everyone's eyes on him but refuses to back down. Todoroki shifts slightly in his seat, glancing at Bakugo as if gauging his reaction. Izuku, sarcastic, I said, it's pathetic. But I guess I shouldn't expect much from someone who spends more time bullying people than actually improving themselves. The room collectively holds its breath as Bakugo's smirk twists into a scowl. Todoroki watches quietly, his eyes narrowing slightly. Bakugo, standing up, his tone sharp, you've got a big mouth for someone who doesn't know when to quit. Izuku doesn't flinch, his frustration bubbling over. Without another word, he turns on his heel and storms out of the classroom, ignoring the whispers and stares of his classmates. Bakugo watches him go, his fists clenched tightly at his sides, a mix of anger and confusion flashing across his face. Todoroki leans back in his chair, his gaze following Izuku out the door. After a moment, he speaks, his voice calm but carrying weight. Todoroki, he's not like anyone else you've messed with, Bakugo. Pushing him might not end the way you think. Bakugo, scoffing, though his tone is less confident, tch. We'll see about that. The classroom buzzes with murmurs once more as the tension lingers. Meanwhile, Izuku walks down the hallway, his fists clenched tightly, his mind racing. He feels a mix of anger and determination, vowing not to let Bakugo or anyone else break his resolve. Izuku, thinking to himself, they think they can push me around, but I'm not giving them the satisfaction. If they want to play games, fine. I'll show them I'm stronger than they think. The scene fades as Izuku finds a quiet spot in the school to collect himself, the fire in his eyes growing stronger. Later at the school backyard, quiet except for the faint laughter of children nearby. Izuku wanders aimlessly, hoping to calm his nerves. As he approaches the kindergarten area, he notices someone familiar and quickly ducks behind a bush. Peeking through the leaves, Izuku spots Kirishima standing in front of a group of young children. To his surprise, the usually brash death row member is kneeling down, handing out candies to the kids. His usual tough demeanor is replaced with a warm, genuine smile as the children laugh and thank him. Izuku, thinking, wait, Kirishima. He's giving candies to the kids. I didn't think someone like him could be so kind. Izuku watches silently, his perception of Kirishima shifting. For a moment, he sees a completely different side of him, a softer, more caring side that doesn't fit the image of a death row gangster. After a few minutes, Kirishima stands, ruffling the hair of one of the kids before waving goodbye and walking away from the kindergarten. As he turns toward the path, his sharp eyes catch a hint of movement behind the bushes. His expression hardens slightly as he approaches. Kirishima, calm but firm, you can come out now. I know you're there. Izuku freezes, his heart racing, before slowly stepping out from his hiding spot. He nervously adjusts his glasses, trying to think of an excuse. Izuku, stammering, oh, hey. I wasn't spying or anything. I was just, looking for my notebook. Yeah, I think I dropped it around here somewhere. Kirishima raises an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed by the flimsy excuse. He crosses his arms, his towering figure making Izuku feel even smaller. Kirishima, sighing, look, you don't need to make up a story. I can tell you saw me. Izuku's eyes widen, and he opens his mouth to respond, but Kirishima cuts him off. Kirishima, serious, listen, don't tell anyone about what you saw, alright? Not Bakugo, not Todoroki, not anyone. Got it. Izuku blinks, surprised by the sudden request. Kirishima's tone is firm, but there's no malice in his voice. Instead, there's a hint of vulnerability, like he's afraid of being judged. Izuku, nodding quickly, why yeah, of course. I won't say anything. I promise. Kirishima stares at him for a moment, his eyes searching for Izuku's face for any sign of dishonesty. Finally, he nods, satisfied. Kirishima, gruffly, good. He steps past Izuku, pausing briefly to glance over his shoulder. You're not as bad as I thought, Midoriya. Just stay out of trouble. With that, Kirishima walks away, his usual confident stride returning. Izuku watches him go, a mix of emotions swirling inside him. He adjusts his glasses and leans against the tree, thinking. Izuku, thinking, he's not like Bakugo or the others. Kirishima's different. Maybe there's more to the death row gang than I thought. The scene fades as Izuku lingers in the backyard, his perspective on the group starting to shift. In an empty classroom after school hours. Bakugo is leaning against a desk, arms crossed and scowling, his anger evident. Around him, the rest of the death row gang sits or lounges in various positions, casually chatting, though the tension in the air is palpable. Bakugo, snarling, that DMN nerd, who does he think he is? Talking back to me like that. Kaminari, sitting on a desk, still nursing his bruises, yeah, he's got guts, I'll give him that. But seriously, who does that guy think he is? He's just some transfer student. Sero, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, guts or not, he's not scared of you, Bakugo. That's gotta sting a little, huh? Bakugo, glaring at Sero, watch it, tape face. I don't care how tough he thinks he is. I'll make him regret every step foot in this school. Shinso, calmly, twirling a pencil between his fingers. He's not an idiot, though. He knows how to stand his ground. That tray stunt with Kaminari wasn't just luck. Rody, leaning back in a chair, smirking, whatever. He's just one guy. He won't last long if we all decide to put him in his place. Todoroki, quietly, but with a sharp edge, are we really going to spend all our time on some random transfer student? This is starting to feel petty. The others glance at Todoroki, surprised by his comment, but before anyone can respond, the door swings open. Kirishima walks in, looking slightly flustered but trying to hide it. He grabs a bottle of water from his bag and takes a sip, avoiding their gazes. Bakugo, immediately focusing on Kirishima, "Oi, where the hell have you been? You've been gone for a while." Kirishima, casual tone, shrugging, "Just needed some air. Took a walk around campus." "What's the big deal?" Bakugo, narrowing his eyes, "You sure about that? You look like you've been up to something." Kirishima, keeping his composure, chuckling lightly, "Relax, man. You're too paranoid. I wasn't up to anything. Just clearing my head." Todoroki glances at Kirishima, his sharp eyes observing him closely, but he doesn't say anything. The rest of the group seems to buy the excuse, returning to their previous conversation. Rody, grinning, "You missed Bakugo's little rant about the nerd, though. Midoriya's already living rent-free in his head." Bakugo, snapping, "Shut up, Rody. That guy's gonna learn the hard way not to mess with me." Kirishima, sitting down, leaning back in his chair, "You guys are still talking about him. Man, you're letting him get under your skin way too much." Bakugo, glaring at Kirishima, "You got a problem with that, shitty hair?" Kirishima, shrugging, "Not really. Just saying, he's probably not worth all this energy." He hides his nervousness well, recalling his earlier encounter with Izuku at the kindergarten. Guilio, finally speaking, his tone firm, "He's different. You've all seen it. If you underestimate him, you'll regret it." The group falls silent, Guilio's words hanging in the air. Kirishima shifts uncomfortably but keeps his expression neutral, hoping no one presses him further. Bakugo, however, scoffs loudly, breaking the tension. Bakugo, "TCH, different or not, he's still just a DMN nerd. I'll deal with him, and you'll all see. He's nothing." The scene ends with the Death Row gang falling into a tense silence, each member lost in their thoughts. Kirishima glances briefly at Bakugo, then at Todoroki, before looking away, the weight of his secret pressing heavily on him. At the library, quiet and peaceful. Izuku sits at a table, surrounded by open books and notes, deep in thought. His concentration is broken when Uraraka, Jairu, and Ojiro approach him, carrying a sandwich wrapped in paper. Uraraka, cheerfully, "Hey, Izuku. We brought you a sandwich. Figured you might be starving after all that studying." She sets the sandwich on the table with a smile, and Jairu pulls out a chair, sitting down casually. Jairu, teasing, "You're always buried in books, huh? I'm surprised you're not part of the library furniture by now." Izuku, chuckling, "Thanks, guys. I was so focused I didn't realize how hungry I was." Ojiro, sitting down, watching Izuku closely, "Where's Ida? He's usually stuck to you like glue." Uraraka, answering for Izuku, "He's at another council meeting. You know how busy he always is." The group settles in, casually chatting. Izuku unwraps the sandwich, but as he takes a bite, his expression shifts. His mind drifts back to Kirishima, and his thoughts linger on the unexpected encounter at the kindergarten. Ojiro, noticing Izuku's faraway look, "Izuku, you okay? You've been spacing out for a while." Uraraka and Jairu exchange curious glances, leaning in slightly as Ojiro prompts Izuku further. "Ojiro, if something's on your mind, you can tell us. What's up?" Izuku, hesitating for a moment, then sighing, "It's about Kirishima." Uraraka, blinking in surprise, Kirishima. You mean one of the death row guys? What about him? Izuku, looking down, fiddling with the sandwich wrapper, I saw him yesterday in the backyard near the kindergarten. He was handing out candies to the kids. He looked so different. Not like the way he acts with Bakugo and the others. The group exchanges shocked expressions, none of them expecting to hear something like that. Jiraiya, raising an eyebrow, wait, are you serious? Kirishima, the same guy who's always with Bakugo, was giving out candies. That doesn't sound like him at all. Uraraka, thoughtful, maybe he's not as bad as we think. I mean, everyone has their own sides, right? Ojiro, frowning slightly, still, it's strange. Why would he act so kind there but be so different with the rest of the gang? Did he notice you? Izuku, nodding, yeah, when he left, he saw me. I tried to make up an excuse, but he saw right through it. He told me not to tell anyone about what I saw. The group falls silent, each of them processing the revelation. Jiraiya, crossing her arms, so, he's trying to keep up appearances with Bakugo and the others, but deep down, he might not agree with everything they do. Uraraka, nodding, it makes sense. Maybe he feels stuck. Like he can't show that side of himself around them. Ojiro, serious, Izuku, you need to be careful. If Bakugo or the others find out you know something like that about Kirishima, it could make things worse for you and for him. Izuku, determined, I won't tell anyone. I promised Kirishima, and I meant it. But I can't stop thinking about how different he seemed. Maybe there's a way to reach him. To help him see he doesn't have to be like the rest of them. Jiraiya, skeptical, that's a big risk, Izuku. What if he doesn't want help? Izuku, firmly, I have to try. He's not like Bakugo. I can feel it. And if there's a chance to make things better, even a little, I'll take it. The group exchanges worried glances, but they can see the resolve in Izuku's eyes. Uraraka places a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Uraraka, just be careful, okay? We've got your back, no matter what. Izuku smiles gratefully, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The scene fades as the group continues their discussion, the bonds between them growing stronger. A dimly lit tunnel after school. The sound of grunts and mocking laughter echoes off the walls. Izuku, walking home, hears the commotion and stops in his tracks. He cautiously approaches the source of the noise, peeking from the corner of the tunnel. Izuku's eyes widen as he sees Kirishima on the ground, battered and bruised. Surrounding him are 5 rough-looking boys from a different gang, the Grimar gang. One of them wields a metal bat, while another is poised to land another punch. Nearby, Izuku notices 2 frightened children huddled in a corner, crying. A black van is parked ominously to the side. Grimar Member 1, mockingly, what's the matter, tough guy? Not so, unbreakable, now, huh? Kirishima, breathing, glaring despite the pain, you touch those kids, and I swear, he tries to stand, but his legs give out. Grimar Member 2, laughing, swear what? You're done, man. Should have stayed out of our business. The member with the bat raises it, aiming to strike again, but before he can, a hand grabs the fist of another member who was about to punch Kirishima. Izuku, calm but with an edge in his voice, that's enough. With surprising strength, Izuku twists the gang member's arm, flipping him over onto the ground. The gang is stunned as Izuku steps forward, positioning himself between Kirishima and the attackers. Grimar Member 3, angrily, who the hell are you, nerd? You've got a death wish or something. Izuku, adjusting his glasses, voice firm, someone who doesn't stand by while cowards gang up on one person. Especially not when kids are involved. The Grimar gang exchanges glances before bursting into laughter. The one with the bat steps forward, swinging it threateningly. Grimar Member 1, you're either brave or stupid. Either way, you're dead. As the gang member swings the bat, Izuku ducks effortlessly, delivering a sharp jab to his side, causing him to drop the bat. Another member charges at Izuku, but Izuku sidesteps and sweeps his legs out from under him. One by one, the gang tries to attack, but Izuku dodges, counters, and disarms them with surprising skill and precision. Kirishima, sitting on the ground, watches in shock as Izuku systematically takes down all 5 gang members. He clutches his ribs, barely able to process what's happening. Kirishima, weakly, Midoriya. What the hell? The last gang member, realizing he's outmatched, scrambles to his feet and helps his fallen comrades retreat. They glare at Izuku and Kirishima before fleeing the scene. Grimar member 2, shouting as they run, "You're dead, both of you. This isn't over." Izuku's sad face sarcastically shout, "Isn't over my butt," rolled eyes, as the van screeches away, silence falls over the tunnel. Izuku turns to the crying kids, crouching down to their level. "Izuku, gently, it's okay now. You're safe. Go home and stay with your families, alright." The kids nod, sniffling, and quickly run off. Izuku then turns to Kirishima, who is still staring at him in disbelief. Kirishima, gritting his teeth, trying to stand, what was that? How the hell can you fight like that? Izuku, extending a hand to help him up, "You're not the only one with layers, Kirishima. Come on, let's get you patched up." Kirishima hesitates for a moment before taking Izuku's hand. As they walk out of the tunnel together, Kirishima glances at Izuku, his mind racing with questions. For the first time, he sees Izuku in a completely new light. Kirishima, softly, "You're full of surprises, nerd." Izuku, smiling faintly, "And you're not as bad as you act." Later, a quiet convenience store at night. The fluorescent lights hum softly as Izuku leads Kirishima inside. Kirishima limps slightly but tries to play it off as nothing. Izuku, however, notices every wince and frown. Izuku, grabbing a basket, "Stay here. I'll grab what we need." Kirishima, protesting, "I'm fine." "Seriously, you don't have to dash." Izuku, cutting him off, determined, "You're not fine, Kirishima. Just let me help, okay?" Kirishima sighs but doesn't argue further. Izuku grabs band-aids, cotton, and a small bottle of alcohol from the medical aisle, then adds 2 cup noodles and a pack of bread to the basket. At the counter, he pays with his own money, ignoring Kirishima's attempts to intervene. Kirishima, grumbling, "I could have paid for that, you know." Izuku, smiling softly as they leave the store, "Consider it my treat. You've had a rough day." The two find a nearby bench under a dim street lamp. Izuku sets the bag down and takes out the first aid supplies. Izuku, kneeling in front of Kirishima, "Alright, hold still." Kirishima, pulling his arm back, "I told you, I don't need this dash." Izuku, stubbornly, "And I told you, you do. Stop being difficult." Kirishima huffs but lets Izuku gently clean the cuts and bruises on his face and arms. The alcohol stings, and Kirishima flinches, but Izuku works with surprising care. His face is close as he concentrates, the faint light catching his emerald eyes and freckles. Kirishima, thinking to himself, "Why is he so close? And why does he look like that?" Kirishima feels his face heat up as he notices details about Izuku: his soft freckles, his bright green eyes, and the way his lips press together in focus. He quickly looks away, cheeks burning. Izuku, noticing, "Hey, are you okay? You're turning red. Does it hurt that much?" Kirishima, panicking, "And no. It's not that. Just nothing. It's nothing." Izuku tilts his head, confused, but doesn't press further. Once he finishes treating Kirishima's wounds, he hands him a cup of noodles and some bread. Izuku, "Here. You need to eat something." Kirishima, taking the food reluctantly, "You didn't have to go this far, you know." Izuku, shrugging, "I wanted to. Besides, you saved those kids. You're a good person, Kirishima, even if you don't want people to know it." Kirishima freezes, staring at Izuku, who's casually eating his own noodles. No one's ever said something like that to him before. He looks away, unsure how to respond, but the faint blush on his cheeks doesn't fade. Kirishima, muttering, "You're weird, you know that." Izuku, smiling, "I'll take that as a compliment." They sit in silence for a while, eating under the street lamp. The tension from earlier slowly fades, replaced by a quiet sense of camaraderie. Kirishima sneaks another glance at Izuku, his thoughts swirling with confusion and something else he can't quite name. As they finish their food, Kirishima stands and stretches, his wounds less painful now thanks to Izuku's care. Kirishima, gruffly, "Thanks for everything. But don't think this makes us friends or anything, got it?" Izuku, grinning, "Got it." Kirishima starts to walk away, but something about Izuku's calm smile lingers in his mind. For the first time in a while, he feels lighter. Chapter 5, Mask Vigilant Shadow. Chapter 5, Mask Vigilant Shadow. Morning in the classroom. Sunlight streams through the windows as students settle in. Izuku steps inside, adjusting his glasses, only to pause in surprise. His seat, which had been vandalized with hurtful words and covered in glue and gum the previous day, is now completely clean. The harsh graffiti is gone, and the chair looks almost new. Izuku blinks in confusion, scanning the room. Izuku, thinking, who? He glances around, wondering who could have done this. His eyes land on the doorway just in time to see Kirishima leaning casually against the frame, hands in his pockets. Their gazes meet for a brief moment. Kirishima smirks, tilting his head slightly, then turns and walks away without a word. Izuku watches him go, feeling a mix of gratitude and curiosity. He wants to thank Kirishima, but as the redhead strides across the hallway, he's quickly joined by the death row. Gang Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari, Sero, Guilio, Shinso, and Rody. Bakugo is talking loudly about something, laughing arrogantly, while Todoroki walks beside him with his usual unreadable expression. Kirishima seamlessly blends back into the group, his usual confident, cocky demeanor returning as they head toward their usual hangout spot. Izuku, thinking, "I'll thank him later when he's alone." He exhales, adjusting his bag before settling into his now clean seat. Despite everything, he can't help but smile just a little. Maybe, just maybe, Kirishima isn't as bad as the rest of Death Row. After class at the cafeteria, bustling with students chatting and eating. Izuku sits with Ojiro, Jairu, Ida, and Uraraka, quietly enjoying his lunch. His mind drifts back to the morning Kirishima cleaning his desk, that smirk before walking away. A small, unintentional smile creeps onto his face. Jairu, noticing, "Hey, nerd. What's with that smile? You look kinda creepy." Izuku, snapping out of it, "Huh. Oh, it's nothing." Jairu squints at him suspiciously but doesn't push. The group continues eating, but suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The cafeteria noise lowers as a group of students approaches their table. Izuku doesn't need to look up to know who it is. The heavy footsteps, the arrogant laughter of Death Row. Bakugo, mocking, "Oi, nerd. Having fun?" Before Izuku can react, Bakugo smirks and suddenly knocks over Izuku's tray, sending his lunch spilling onto the floor. The loud clang of the tray hitting the ground silences nearby students, and a few begin whispering. Bakugo, mockingly, "Oops. My hand slipped." Izuku slowly looks up, his green eyes dark with irritation. His friends tense beside him, wary of the confrontation. Izuku, calm but firm, "You're pathetic. Is that all you've got?" Bakugo, raising a brow, "What did you just say, nerd?" The Death Row gang watches with interest. Kaminari snickers, Sero leans against a nearby table with a smirk, Todoroki watches silently, and Rody crosses his arms, amused. Kirishima, however, remains still, his gaze flickering between Bakugo and Izuku. Uraraka, whispering to Izuku, "Deku, just ignore them." Bakugo, annoyed by Izuku's lack of fear, suddenly grabs a piece of food from a nearby tray and throws it. The mashed potatoes hit Izuku's uniform, staining it. The cafeteria erupts into murmurs. Some students laugh, others watch in suspense. Izuku stands completely still, his fists clenched at his sides. Every fiber of his being screams to fight back, to wipe that smug grin off Bakugo's face. But he knows the rules: violence in school means suspension or expulsion. He takes a deep breath, controlling himself. Bakugo clicks his tongue in irritation, expecting more of a reaction. Seeing that Izuku won't retaliate, he scoffs and turns away. Bakugo, grinning, tch. Not so tough now, huh? The death row members laugh as they walk away. Kirishima lingers for a second, glancing at Izuku before following them. Izuku exhales slowly, his fingers finally unclenching. Jiru, sighing, you okay? Izuku, quietly, yeah, I'm fine. But as he picks up his tray and stained uniform, he promises himself this isn't over. The school library, quiet and serene. The sunlight filters through the large windows, casting soft shadows across the rows of bookshelves. Izuku sits at a table near the back, his math textbook and notebook spread out in front of him. Izuku taps his pencil nervously against the table, staring at a particularly tricky math problem. He's fairly confident in his skills, but this one is giving him trouble. Izuku, thinking, ugh, is it 24 or maybe I made a mistake earlier? Suddenly, a calm voice interrupts his thoughts. It's you miscalculated the divisor in the second step. Startled, Izuku looks up and glances around, finally spotting Todoroki sitting on the floor near the bookshelves. His back is against the wall, a book in his hands. His expression is as neutral as ever, his eyes not even leaving the pages. Izuku, shocked, Todoroki. What are you doing here? Todoroki finally looks up, his mismatched eyes meeting Izuku's. He shrugs slightly. Todoroki, reading. Izuku shivers slightly. He fumbles to gather his things, mumbling an excuse. Izuku, I should probably get going, I didn't mean to bother you. Before he can leave, Todoroki stands and walks over to him. He sits down next to Izuku without a word, his presence quiet yet commanding. Izuku freezes, unsure what to do. Todoroki, reaching for Izuku's notebook, let me see. Izuku, panicking slightly, wait, what are you? Todoroki takes the notebook, flipping through Izuku's math problems. He studies them for a moment before pointing to a line. Todoroki, here's where you went wrong. You forgot to carry the remainder. Izuku blinks, surprised. He hadn't expected Todoroki to be so helpful. Or so calm. The intimidating gang member everyone feared was now calmly explaining algebra. Izuku, tentatively, oh, you're right. Thanks. Encouraged by Todoroki's demeanor, Izuku hesitates before asking another question. To his surprise, Todoroki answers it without any annoyance, his voice steady and patient. Before long, Izuku is asking more, and Todoroki answers each one with the same calm precision. Izuku, smiling, wow, you're really smart, Todoroki. I didn't think, he trails off, realizing how rude that might sound. Todoroki raises an eyebrow but doesn't seem offended. Todoroki, you didn't think someone in death row could be smart. Izuku, nervously, and no, that's not what I meant. Todoroki, shrugging, it's fine. Most people think that. They sit in silence for a moment, the soft rustle of pages the only sound. Izuku glances at Todoroki, marveling at this unexpected side of him. He wasn't just a gang member, he was quiet, aloof, and undeniably intelligent. Izuku, smiling, thanks again. You really helped me out. Todoroki, standing, handing back the notebook, just don't mess it up on the test. With that, he picks up his book and walks away, leaving Izuku staring after him. For the first time, Izuku wonders if there's more to the death row members than he initially thought. Later Izuku, deep in thought, shifts slightly and accidentally glances at Todoroki. The other boy's head rests against his arms, his breathing even and peaceful. For a moment, Izuku just stares. Todoroki, usually so cold and intimidating, looks different like this. Relaxed. Almost Izuku swallows attractive. His dual-colored hair falls gently over his face, the red and white strands blending under the soft glow of the library light. Izuku, thinking, is his hair naturally like that? Or is it dyed? Curiosity gets the best of him. Slowly, carefully, he reaches out and lightly touches the strands of Todoroki's white hair, feeling its soft texture between his fingers. Suddenly, Izuku senses movement. His heart stops as he looks down. Todoroki's eyes are half open, lazily watching him. Izuku freezes, caught red-handed, his fingertips still brushing against Todoroki's hair. Todoroki, calmly, voice low, "What are you doing?" Izuku, panicked, I was just dash. He pulls his hand back as if burned, his face rapidly turning red. Todoroki slowly sits up, his mismatched eyes still locked onto Izuku, amusement flickering in them. Izuku quickly scrambles to gather his things, gripping his bag as an excuse to flee. Izuku, stammering, I should go. Yeah. I need to do something. As he rushes to stand, his foot catches on the edge of the bookshelf. He stumbles, knocking into it. The unstable shelf wobbles violently before Izuku can react, books come tumbling down. In a flash, Todoroki moves. He steps forward and pins Izuku against the shelf, shielding him from the falling books. Hardcovers and paperbacks crash onto Todoroki's back, but he doesn't flinch. For a second, neither of them move. Their faces are only inches apart, breath mingling. Izuku's heart pounds in his chest, his wide green eyes staring into Todoroki's calm, unreadable expression. The space between them is suffocatingly close. Todoroki studies Izuku's flustered expression, his gaze flickering to Izuku's parted lips before meeting his eyes again. He doesn't move away. Todoroki, softly, "You okay?" Izuku, barely whispering, "Why yeah." Todoroki lingers a moment longer before finally stepping back. Izuku stumbles forward slightly, still breathless, his mind spinning. He can barely process what just happened. Todoroki, glancing at the fallen books, "You should be more careful." With that, he calmly picks up a book, dusts it off, and places it back on the shelf as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, Izuku, still red-faced, clutches his bag like his life depends on it. Izuku, internally screaming, "What just happened?" After school, the sky is painted with hues of orange and pink as Izuku walks home with Ojiro, Ida, Uraraka, and Jairu. The group chats casually, but Izuku is uncharacteristically quiet, lost in his thoughts. Ida, ever the observant one, notices Izuku's faraway look. "Ida, Midoriya, are you alright? You've been spacing out for quite a while now." Izuku, snapping out of it, "Huh. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking about assignments." His friends exchange knowing looks but decide not to push him further. Soon, they arrive at the bus station. Uraraka, Jairu, and Ida wave goodbye as they board their respective buses. Uraraka, "See you tomorrow, Deku." Jairu, "Don't overthink things too much, nerd." She smirks playfully. Izuku, waving, "Yeah, see you." Now it's just Izuku and Ojiro. They continue walking in companionable silence until they stop by a convenience store. The warm glow of the store's lights invites them in, and soon they're sitting at a small table outside, enjoying meat buns, beef ramen, and grape juice. Ojiro, slurping his ramen, "You've been acting weird all day, Midoriya. Did something happen?" Izuku hesitates, his mind flashing back to the library, Todoroki's calm expression, their gazes locked as the books fell, and the close proximity that left him breathless. Izuku, fiddling with his chopsticks, "It's about Todoroki." Ojiro, raising an eyebrow, "Todoroki. What about him?" Izuku, I think he's different from what I thought. Like, everyone sees him as this cold, intimidating guy in the death row gang, but he pauses, trying to find the right words. Izuku, but when I talked to him, he seemed so calm and smart. He even helped me with my math problems. And then, today, he trails off, his cheeks reddening slightly as he remembers Todoroki shielding him from the falling books. Ojiro, leaning forward, intrigued, and then. Izuku, quickly, nothing. It's just I didn't expect him to be so different. It's like he has this quiet, thoughtful side that no one really knows about. Ojiro nods, thoughtfully chewing his meat bun. Ojiro, I guess it makes sense. People are more complex than they seem. Even someone in a gang like Death Row might have layers. Izuku, yeah, he thinks so. He looks down at his bowl, his thoughts swirling. He couldn't deny it. Todoroki had surprised him, and now he wasn't sure how to feel about it. The two finished their meal in a comfortable silence before standing up and continuing their walk home. As they part ways, Izuku's mind lingers on Todoroki's quiet demeanor, his mismatched eyes, and the unexpected warmth he'd shown. Izuku, thinking, maybe there's more to him than I thought. Night at the underground battle arena, a dimly lit, high-energy venue where gangs and solo fighters compete. The crowd roars as fights take place in the center ring, and groups gather in the shadows, sizing each other up. The death row members stride toward the entrance, dressed in their usual intimidating attire. Bakugo leads the way, hands in his pockets, his ever-present scowl deepening when he spots a familiar group leaning against the wall near the entrance. The Vipers' death row's longtime rivals are already there, waiting. Dabi, Inesa, Shindo, Shigaraki, and Monoma stand with smug expressions, clearly expecting them. Monoma, smirking, well, look who decided to show up. Took you guys long enough. Bakugo, clicking his tongue, TCH. The hell are you losers doing here? Thought you'd be too scared to show your faces after last time. Dabi, grinning lazily, scared. Us. Nah, we just wanted to see if you guys were still as weak as before. Kirishima, standing beside Bakugo, clenches his fists but keeps his cool. Sero and Kaminari exchange glances, already annoyed. Rody rolls his eyes, while Guilio watches silently, his sharp gaze analyzing the situation. Inesa, crossing his arms, I hope you're not planning to waste our time. We came to see real fights, not just a bunch of rich brats pretending to be tough. Shigaraki, low chuckle, you death row guys talk big, but let's see if any of you actually have the guts to step into the ring tonight. Bakugo's eyes flare with fury, and he takes a step forward, but Todoroki calmly places a hand on his shoulder, stopping him. The two share a silent exchange before Bakugo scoffs and shoves Todoroki's hand away. Bakugo, you'll get your DMN fight soon enough. Just don't cry when we wipe the floor with you. Shindo, grinning, oh, we'll be waiting. The tension between the two gangs is thick, but after a final exchange of glares, the death row members push past the Vipers and enter the battle arena. Inside, the energy is electric. Fighters brawl in the ring, the crowd cheers, and money is exchanged in backroom bets. Tonight, the real action is just getting started. Underground battle arena, the crowd is roaring, bright lights illuminating the ring where two fighters are clashing fiercely. The death row gang takes their seats, but tension still lingers from their earlier encounter with the Vipers. Bakugo is visibly irritated, arms crossed and foot tapping impatiently. Todoroki, sitting next to him, lets out a small sigh and places a hand on his shoulder. Todoroki, calm down. You'll get your chance to shut them up later. Kirishima, grinning, yeah, man, just enjoy the fights. No point getting worked up over their trash talk. Bakugo clicks his tongue in annoyance but doesn't argue. He leans back in his seat, arms still crossed, eyes locked on the ring. A few seats away, Kaminari returns with a large bucket of popcorn, plopping down next to Rody. Kaminari, grinning, alright, who's ready for some fights and free entertainment? Rody, grabbing a handful of popcorn, as long as we don't get dragged into the mess, I'm good. Guilio, leaning back, TCH, don't jinx it. The fight in the ring intensifies as a solo fighter takes down his opponent with a brutal strike. The Death Row members watch closely, analyzing the strength of potential future opponents. Meanwhile, across the arena, the Vipers are also watching, occasionally glancing over and smirking in their direction. Monoma, loudly, hope you guys are taking notes. Maybe you'll learn how to actually win a fight. Bakugo twitches, nearly getting up, but Todoroki subtly kicks his foot under the seat, keeping him in place. Kirishima shakes his head with a sigh. Kirishima, ignore them. Let's just see who's fighting next. As another round begins, the Death Row members refocus on the matches, though the underlying tension between them and the Vipers remains thick in the air. Tonight, they're just here to watch, but everyone knows it's only a matter of time before these two gangs clash again. Underground Battle Arena, the crowd roars with excitement as the announcer hypes up the next fight. The Death Row and Vipers sit up, intrigued by the mysterious fighter entering the ring. 5 muscular men crack their knuckles, smirking confidently as they face a single opponent. The air is tense, filled with anticipation. Announcer, for our next match, we have a special challenge. 5 against 1. And who dares to take on this impossible battle? Introducing the masked Enigma Vigilant Shadow. The lights dim slightly as the lone fighter steps into the ring. He wears a sleek black turtleneck, a hood covering most of his head, and a black mask obscuring his face. His red breathes and skull belt add to his intimidating presence. His posture is relaxed yet precise, every movement exuding confidence. The Death Row members lean forward, their eyes glued to the ring. Kirishima, grinning, DMN, this guy looks badass. Sero, 5-on-1. He's either crazy or insanely strong. Bakugo, smirking, TCH. We'll see if he's all talk. The fight begins. The first opponent rushes in, throwing a heavy punch. In an instant, Vigilant Shadow sidesteps, barely moving, and counters with a precise strike to the ribs. The man stumbles back, gasping for air. A second opponent swings, aiming for his face, but Vigilant Shadow bends effortlessly, dodging with inhuman reflexes before sweeping his legs out from under him. The man crashes onto the mat. Rody, eyes wide, what the hell? This guy's movement is insane. The remaining 3 attack at once. Vigilant Shadow ducks, spins, and lands precise hits on pressure points, dropping each of them with minimal effort. Within moments, all 5 men lay unconscious on the ground. The arena falls silent. Then an eruption of cheers and gasps. The Vipers exchange glances, clearly impressed but irritated. Dabi, leaning forward, now that's interesting. Shigaraki, grinning darkly, who the hell is this guy? The Death Row members are just as stunned, their expressions a mix of awe and curiosity. Todoroki, muttering, that speed, those reflexes, Kirishima, no way, that's just some random street fighter. Bakugo, gritting his teeth, I don't care who he is. I'm gonna fight him. Vigilant Shadow stands in the center of the ring, staring up at the crowd. For a brief moment, his gaze lingers near the Death Row and Vipers section. Then, without a word, he turns and leaves the ring, vanishing into the arena's shadows. The Death Row members exchange looks. They all have the same thought: who is Vigilant Shadow? And why does he feel familiar? Chapter 6, Unexpectedly. Chapter 6, Unexpectedly. Night. Vigilant Shadow steps into his apartment, his breath heavy from the street fight he just had. He removes the black mask, revealing himself as Izuku Midoriya, his familiar freckled face. His green hair is tousled, and there's a calmness in his eyes despite the adrenaline rush from the fight. Street fighting is just a hobby for him, a way to let off steam after long days of school. He glances at himself in the mirror for a moment, his expression unreadable as he collects his thoughts. After a few seconds, he shakes his head and walks toward his bedroom, changing out of his fighting gear and into something more casual. Izuku then steps out of his room, heading to the kitchen where his mother, Inko, is setting the table. The smell of katsudon fills the air. Inko, welcome home, Izuku. How was your day? Izuku, forcing a relaxed smile, it was good, Mom. Just the usual stuff at school. Inko nods, happy to see him home and safe, though she notices he seems a little distant. She doesn't press him, though, and they sit down to eat together. At school the next morning, Izuku heads to his locker, still carrying the remnants of yesterday's fight in his muscles. When he arrives, he finds his locker open slightly, and to his irritation, his belongings are soaked, dirty, and covered in trash. There's a note inside his locker, better luck next time, nerd. Izuku's eyes are narrow, frustrating building in his chest. He looks around, catching a glimpse of Bakugo and the DEATHROW gang walking down the hallway. Bakugo gives him a smug smirk as he passes by. Izuku, quietly, to himself, Bakugo they're at it again, his fists clench, but he quickly takes a deep breath, reminding himself of the balance he's trying to keep. The last thing he needs is to let his vigilante side take over, especially not here, at school. Izuku, thinking to himself, control, I can't let them provoke me. Not now. Izuku starts cleaning up his locker, trying to push the frustration aside. He needs to stay focused on his schoolwork, on keeping his vigilante persona a secret, and most importantly, on not letting his anger get the best of him. At the classroom the teacher finishes explaining the lesson and announces the group assignment. The students groan collectively, but then the teacher assigns partners for the project. Teacher, Izuku Midoriya, you'll be working with Katsuki Bakugo. The moment the teacher says Bakugo's name, Izuku's face drops. His stomach twists in nervousness, and he mutters to himself. Izuku, shivering slightly, of all people why him? Bakugo, who is sitting near the back of the room, glares in Izuku's direction as the teacher continues the assignment, clearly displeased at being partnered with the nerd. He crosses his arms and mutters under his breath. Bakugo, TCH, great, I'm stuck with this loser. The bell rings, signaling the end of class, and the students start to gather their things. Izuku hesitates for a moment, then takes a deep breath. He approaches Bakugo's desk, hoping to discuss the project. Izuku, timidly, Bakugo, we should start working on the project soon. We have to present it next week. Bakugo doesn't look up, rolling his eyes dramatically and ignoring Izuku entirely. Bakugo, mockingly, yeah, sure, whatever. You can do it all by yourself. I don't care. Izuku's irritation starts to build. He clenches his fists at his sides, but instead of letting it boil over, he takes a deep breath, trying to keep himself calm. Izuku, gritting his teeth, I can't do it alone, Bakugo. You're my partner whether you like it or not. Bakugo scoffs and stands up, brushing past Izuku as if he was insignificant. Without thinking, Izuku grabs his notebook and throws it at Bakugo's head. Izuku, shouting as he walks away, I'm not doing this by myself. Bakugo, his face flushed with rage, WHPS around and stalks toward Izuku. He grabs Izuku's arm roughly, pulling him back toward the desk. Bakugo, snarling, you think you can just throw things at me, nerd. Izuku jrks his arm out of Bakugo's grip, his voice rising in anger. Izuku, yelling, I don't want to work with you, but I don't have a choice. Stop acting like a child. Bakugo glares at him, fists clenched, but for a moment, there's a tension in the air between them. Both of them are angry, frustrated, but neither of them are willing to back down. Izuku, breathing slightly, voice shaking, we have to work together. I'm not backing out, so get over yourself. Bakugo's eyes flare with irritation, but he doesn't respond. Instead, he turns and stomps away, muttering under his breath. Bakugo, muttering, I'll show you who's the better one here, nerd. Izuku watches him leave, breathing heavily. Despite the anger inside him, he knows this is something he'll just have to deal with at least until the project is done. After school Izuku, after gathering his things from his locker, notices a folded piece of paper wedged in between his books. He frowns when he opens it. Izuku, reading quietly to himself, "Meet me at the gate." He rolls his eyes, half exasperated. Despite all of Bakugo's attitude earlier, it seems like he's actually agreed to work with him on the project. Izuku sighs, muttering to himself. Izuku, sarcastically, finally he's willing to do something. He makes his way to the school gate, still unsure of what's going to happen next. As he approaches, he spots Bakugo standing there, surrounded by the other members of the death row gang: Kirishima, Kaminari, Todoroki, and the others. They all turn to look at him as he approaches, their expressions unreadable. Bakugo, grinning, crossing his arms, "You're late, nerd. Let's go." Izuku's heart skips a beat, and he feels a cold chill run down his spine. He hesitates for a second before walking over to them, trying to keep his composure. Bakugo gestures toward a few sleek, black motorbikes lined up near the curb. Izuku, nervously, where are we going?" Kirishima, flashing a reassuring grin, pats Izuku on the shoulder. "Kirishima, don't worry, man. You'll be fine." Izuku gulps, still unsure, and slowly walks toward the bikes. He feels the weight of the eyes of the death row gang members on him as he reluctantly climbs onto the back of Kirishima's motorbike. Kirishima revs the engine, and they speed off, leaving the school behind. Izuku, thinking to himself, "What am I getting into now?" The further they drive, the more Izuku feels like he's stepping into a different world. The streets become wider, the buildings taller, and the area feels wealthier. Soon, the bikes come to a stop in front of a massive, imposing mansion. The gates open, and as they drive in, Izuku's eyes widen at the sheer size of the place. There are maids bustling around the gardens and a butler standing at the front entrance, giving a polite nod as they arrive. Izuku, stunned, whispering to himself, "This is Bakugo's house." Kirishima, noticing Izuku's disbelief, chuckles and turns his head. Kirishima, "Yep. Welcome to Bakugo's mansion." Izuku still can't believe it. He looks around at the sprawling estate, taking in the lavish surroundings. The mansion is enormous, with a grand entrance, appealing gardens, and an air of elegance that seems out of place with the rough and rowdy gang members. Izuku, wide-eyed, "I had no idea Bakugo's family is this rich." Kirishima just laughs again, adjusting his helmet as he takes a turn toward the house. Kirishima, "Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? But don't let it fool you. Bakugo's still the same guy, even in here." Izuku nods, still trying to process everything. As they dismount the bikes, the gang members start heading toward the entrance. Izuku follows, trying to keep a low profile. Izuku, thinking to himself, "What am I even supposed to be doing here?" The doors to the mansion open, and they all walk inside. The butler gives a polite bow as they enter, and Izuku can't help but feel like he stepped into a completely different world, far from the one he's used to. The lounge is luxurious, with a large chandelier overhead, plush couches, and a polished wooden coffee table. Izuku sits on the edge of a couch, looking uneasy as he tries to keep his composure. The death row members are lounging around the room, and Bakugo has just ordered the maids to bring snacks for everyone. Izuku, nervously looking around, still trying to understand why he was brought here. Bakugo, why did you bring me here? What's going on?" Bakugo doesn't even look up as he reclines in an armchair, tapping his fingers impatiently on the armrest. Bakugo, irritated, his voice sharp, "We're gonna get the DMN project done, all right. That's what you wanted, right?" Izuku nods quickly, too nervous to say much more. He feels out of place in the extravagant setting but tries to focus on the task at hand. His eyes flicker toward the other members of the death row gang. Kaminari, Sero, and Rody seem to be watching him with amusement, their eyes glinting with curiosity. Kaminari, grinning mischievously, "So, Midoriya, how's it feeling, teaming up with the big bad Bakugo?" Sero, chuckling, "You sure you're ready for this?" He's got a short fuse, you know. Rody, mocking, yeah, he might blow up on you any second, nerd, and throw you at the pool. Izuku smiles awkwardly, trying to keep calm despite the teasing. He can feel the weight of their eyes on him, but he does his best to ignore it. Izuku, trying to stay focused on the project, I just want to get this done so we can get it over with. Bakugo glares at him, as if he's already had enough of Izuku's nervousness. Bakugo, with a scoff, I don't care how you feel about it. We're gonna finish it now. If you wanna pass, you better keep up. Izuku nods again, trying to push aside his anxiety. He turns his attention back to the project, watching as Bakugo pulls out a few notebooks and starts sketching ideas. Bakugo's approach is quick and decisive, his mind clearly working fast as he organizes the project. Izuku just listens and follows along, occasionally arguing with him about certain details. Izuku, nervously, trying to contribute, I think we should focus more on the research part, not just the presentation. We need some solid data to back it up. Bakugo, rolling his eyes, shut up, you think I don't know that. I'll handle the presentation, you just write the DMN paper. Izuku's brow furrows, but he doesn't argue further. He starts jotting down notes, trying to keep up with Bakugo's pace. Meanwhile, the other Death Row members, including Todoroki, Guilio, Shinso, and Kirishima, sit in silence, watching the interaction between the two with varying degrees of interest. Kirishima, watching the tense exchange, he leans over to Todoroki, do you think Midoriya's gonna be able to handle Bakugo's way of doing things? Todoroki, calmly observing, he'll manage. He seems determined. Shinso, with a smirk, it's fun watching Bakugo get all irritated over a project. Guilio, nodding slightly, as long as they get it done, who cares how it happens. Izuku continues to argue with Bakugo about how to approach certain aspects of the project, but each time he suggests an idea, Bakugo shoots it down with a scoff. The back and forth is starting to wear on him, but he stays determined to push through. He knows that in the end, he has no choice but to deal with Bakugo if he wants to pass this assignment. The atmosphere in the room is thick with tension as the Death Row members continue to watch them, the teasing banter slowly dying down as they focus on the work at hand. It's clear that, despite the animosity between Izuku and Bakugo, there's a certain unspoken understanding. Both of them are driven to succeed, and for now, that's enough to keep them working together at least until the project is done. After a long session of working together on the project, Bakugo and Izuku finish their task. The Death Row gang decides to relax and watch a movie while snacking. The room is cozy, with a few of them lounging on the couches while the TV flickers on. Izuku, quietly sighing to himself, feeling a little out of place in the luxurious surroundings, finally done, he packs up his papers into his bag, trying to ignore the uncomfortable feeling. He looks around, noticing the other gang members, who are clearly more at home in this extravagant setting. He feels like he doesn't belong, but he sits down quietly, attempting to watch the movie. As the movie plays, Izuku slowly begins to nod off. His head drops slightly, his exhaustion from the long day catching up to him. Before he knows it, he's sound asleep on the couch, his head resting against the cushion. Kaminari, noticing Izuku's sleeping, whispers to Rody, yo, look at him. The nerd's out cold. Rody, snickers, glancing at Izuku, poor guy looks totally wiped. Curious, Kaminari leans in closer to Izuku and gently removes his glasses, careful not to wake him. Rody watches, his amusement growing. Kaminari, whispering quietly, teasing, let's see if he's any different without these. The other members of Death Row look over, intrigued by the sudden quiet. Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, Shinso, and Guilio all glance at Izuku, their attention now diverted from the movie. Kaminari, suppressing laughter, whoa, he actually looks different without the glasses. Izuku's freckles are more pronounced, and his lips soft-looking and inviting. The Death Row gang is stunned, unsure of how to react to the sight of the nerdy Izuku without his glasses. Todoroki, surprised, his voice soft, didn't expect that. Guilio, raising an eyebrow, still staring at Izuku, he looks pretty different without them. Shinso, nodding slowly, thinking to himself, I never realized. Kirishima, smiling softly, a little more surprised, he's actually kind of handsome. Bakugo, gruffly, trying to cover up his own surprise, glaring at the others, stop staring, idiots. But even Bakugo can't help but glance at Izuku, his usual scowl faltering as he looks at the unexpected sight of the boy who'd always been seen as just the nerd. Kaminari, teasingly whispering to Rody, still amazed, yo, this is insane. Who knew? The group falls into a brief silence, everyone trying to act casual about the fact that they're staring at their classmate in a completely new light. Kaminari notices that some of them are blushing, especially Todoroki, who quickly looks away. Rody, grinning quietly, trying to hide his amusement, I think we've all learned something new today. Izuku, still unaware of all the attention he's attracting, stirs slightly in his sleep. His green emerald eyes flutter open, and for a brief moment, he looks at the group, confused by the silence. His gaze meets theirs, and the room falls silent. His tired expression only adds to the mysterious charm. His emerald eyes, bright and awake for a moment, make the group freeze. They can't help but be struck by how handsome and cute he looks even in his drowsy state. The moment is short-lived, though, as Izuku, too tired to keep his eyes open, quickly falls back asleep. As he leans forward in his sleep, he tilts too much, and his body starts to fall off the couch. In a swift motion, Todoroki catches him, gently steadying him. Todoroki, softly, adjusting Izuku so he's more comfortable in his arms, careful, Midoriya. Izuku mutters something incoherent as he continues to sleep, oblivious to the stir he's caused. The group exchanges glances, still processing what just happened. Kaminari, breaking the silence with a chuckle, still unable to hide his surprise, man, he really is full of surprises. The movie continues to play, but now, there's a new tension in the air. The Death Row members are no longer looking at Izuku as just the nerd, but something more, something they didn't expect. Chapter 7, What do you want me to think? Chapter 7, What do you want me to think? Sunlight filters through tall windows, casting a golden glow over the luxurious bedroom. Izuku stirs awake, his vision hazy as he blinks at the unfamiliar ceiling. His body feels oddly well rested, but something feels off. Izuku, groggily, sitting up, where am I? His emerald eyes scan the room, ornate furniture, expensive decor, and a large framed photo of Bakugo on the nightstand. His heart skips a beat as memories of last night flood back. He was with the Death Row gang. But how did he end up here? Izuku, checking his phone, relieved, Saturday no classes, at least. He quickly slides out of bed, fixing his wrinkled clothes. Just as he reaches for his bag, a familiar, irritated voice echoes through the hall. Bakugo, from outside, loud and impatient, oi, nerd. Get your butt out here. Izuku flinches, his shoulders tensing. He debates sneaking out the window but realizes it's probably not the best idea. With a deep breath, he steps out of the room and follows the voice, his heartbeat quickening. As he reaches the lounge, he's met with the sight of Bakugo sitting in a leather chair like a king on his throne. The rest of the Death Row members are lounging around, casually chatting, but the moment Izuku enters, all eyes turn to him. Izuku, awkwardly rubbing the back of his neck, morning. Bakugo leans back, arms crossed, staring at him with his usual scowl. The atmosphere is heavy, as if Izuku had interrupted something. Izuku, nervously, trying to make an excuse, so, thanks for letting me stay, but I should probably get going now. Before he can turn, Kirishima chuckles and blocks his path, shaking his head. Kirishima, grinning, friendly but firm, nah, no rush, dude. You might as well chill for a bit. Rody, smirking, arms behind his head, yeah, what's the hurry? You act like we're about to kidnap you or something. Izuku, sweating, thinking exactly that, no. No, of course not. Sero tosses him a small towel. Sero, grinning, relax, man. You look like you barely slept. Just eat with us first. Izuku looks around, confused. Why were they acting so casual? The same guys who bullied him at school were now inviting him to breakfast like he was part of the group. What was going on? Bakugo sighs heavily, pushing himself up from his seat. Bakugo, gruffly, walking past Izuku, quit thinking so damn hard and follow me. Izuku hesitates but ultimately follows. The others trail behind them as they enter the grand dining hall. A lavish breakfast spread awaits: pancakes, eggs, bacon, and more. It's far more extravagant than anything Izuku's used to. As everyone takes their seats, Izuku reluctantly sits as well, still cautious. Izuku, raising an eyebrow, glancing at Bakugo, so why are you guys being so nice all of a sudden? Bakugo clicks his tongue, clearly annoyed. Bakugo, grumbling, avoiding eye contact, tch, don't overthink it, nerd. You stayed the night, so you eat before you leave. That's all. Izuku stares at him for a moment before sighing in defeat. Maybe it was better to just go along with it. He picks up his fork and starts eating. As the breakfast continues, the death row members chat and banter around him. It's surprisingly normal. For the first time, Izuku doesn't feel like an outsider. And that thought, though strange, doesn't feel so bad. The sound of clinking silverware fills the air as the death row gang eats, their casual conversations blending together. Izuku quietly munches on his food, still wary of the situation. But then, Kaminari drops a casual bombshell. Kaminari, grinning, nudging Rody, hey, what if we let the nerd join us? Izuku nearly chokes on his juice. The room falls silent. Bakugo, slamming his fork down, eyes sharp and deadly, the hell did you just say? Kaminari flinches but still grins. Kaminari, shrugging, I mean, think about it. He's already hanging out with us now, right? Might as well make it official. Guilio leans back, smirking, as if considering the idea. Guilio, teasing, ha. And what exactly makes you think he can handle being one of us? Kirishima, who had been silently eating, suddenly clenches his fists. His mind flashes back to the dark tunnel. Izuku standing between him and the Grimmar gang, taking down 5 men without hesitation. His eyes darken with conviction. Kirishima, firmly, let's give it a try. Have you seen what he can do? The gang looks at him, surprised by his serious tone. Sero, raising an eyebrow, you sure about that, Ijiro? This is Midoriya we're talking about. Todoroki, who had been silent, finally speaks. Todoroki, calmly, but with weight, Kirishima's right. He's stronger than he looks. The room splits into 2 sides: Kirishima and Todoroki in favor, while Bakugo, Shinso, and Sero remain against it. The air is tense. Bakugo, growling, standing up with an irritated glare, tch. Are you guys stupid? This nerd's got no business with us. Shinso, leaning back, unimpressed, honestly, I agree. He's too soft. He wouldn't last a day in our world. Izuku, who had been silently watching them argue, suddenly slams his hands on the table, making everyone stop. Izuku, firmly, glaring at them, enough. The gang turns to him, slightly surprised. It's rare for Izuku to take this kind of tone. Izuku, crossing his arms, I'm not interested. Silence. Izuku, continuing, voice unwavering, I don't need to be in a gang. I have my own group. My own friends. I'm not looking to belong somewhere else. Kirishima looks slightly disappointed, but he respects Izuku's answer. Todoroki simply nods, as if expecting this response. Bakugo, on the other hand, scoffs. Bakugo, smirking, arms crossed, ha. Figures. You'd rather stick with your weak little study buddies. Izuku glares at him but doesn't take the bait. Instead, he sighs and pushes his plate away. Izuku, calmly, thanks for the meal. I should get going now. He stands up and grabs his bag. The death row gang watches him as he heads for the door. Kirishima looks like he wants to say something, but he holds back. Rody just sighs, and Kaminari scratches the back of his head awkwardly. Izuku quietly leaves the mansion, the death row gang watching him go, each with different thoughts in their minds. Izuku sits on a bench, exhaling softly as he stares at the sky. The crisp air does little to calm the restlessness in his chest. Just as he closes his eyes, his phone vibrates in his pocket. Caller ID, unknown number, frowning, he answers. Izuku, hello. Voice, urgent, slightly panicked, are you Izuku Midoriya? Your mother, she collapsed at the market. We brought her to the hospital. Izuku's BLD turns ice cold. His grip on the phone tightens, his breath hitching in his throat. Izuku, shaking, voice barely above a whisper, what? My mom dash. Voice, she had a heart attack. You need to get here fast. The line goes dead. For a moment, everything around him blurs. Then his body moves before he can even process it. He bolts from the bench, heart pounding in terror. Izuku, breathing, muttering to himself, no, 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 please dash, his legs burn as he sprints, weaving through the park's pathways. His vision is blurry, tears pooling at the edges, but he doesn't stop. He can't. At the streets near the park, a group of roaring motorbikes pulls up to a red light. The death row gang Bakugo, Kirishima, Todoroki, Kaminari, Rody, Sero, Shinso, and Guilio are out for a ride. The sun is setting, painting the city in a warm glow. But their moment of calm is interrupted when they spot a familiar figure. Kirishima, noticing first, frowning, wait, is that Midoriya? The others turn just in time to see Izuku dashing across the crosswalk, face pale, breath erratic, eyes filled with fear. Something's wrong. Bakugo, narrowing his eyes, tch. Where the hell is he running like a DMN idiot? Todoroki, watching closely, calm but serious, he's crying. That one observation makes everyone pause. Rody, blinking, concerned, Midoriya crying. Kaminari, nervously rubbing the back of his neck, that's not normal, right? Before anyone can respond, Izuku practically throws himself into a passing taxi, shouting at the driver. The vehicle speeds off. The gang exchanges glances. Sero, raising a brow, we are following him. Bakugo clicks his tongue, but revs his engine. Bakugo, grumbling, like I care what the nerd's doing. Pauses, then sighs irritably, let's go. The death row gang speeds off, trailing the taxi. At the hospital, Izuku stumbles into the hospital, nearly tripping over himself as he rushes to the front desk. Izuku, breathing, desperate, my Maminko Midoriya. Where is she? The nurse quickly checks the records before gesturing to a hallway. Nurse, room, she's stable, but Izuku doesn't wait. He runs. He reaches the room, his chest tightening at the sight before him, his mother lying unconscious on the hospital bed, hooked to monitors. The rhythmic beeping is the only sound in the room. Izuku, whispering, voice breaking, Mom, his knees almost give out. He stumbles toward her, gripping her hand gently. The doctor enters, adjusting his glasses. Doctor, calmly but firm, she suffered a heart attack while shopping. Thankfully, some citizens rushed her here in time. She's stable, but she'll need rest and proper care moving forward. Izuku swallows the lump in his throat, nodding numbly. His fingers tighten around his mother's hand. He failed to protect her. He should have been there. Outside the emergency ward, just as the doctor steps out, the death row gang walks in, having followed Izuku's taxi all the way to the hospital. They exchange glances. Kirishima, whispering, this explains why he was running, Todoroki, softly, watching Izuku through the glass window, his mother. Bakugo crosses his arms, his expression unreadable as he looks inside. Izuku sits beside the hospital bed, his back hunched, head bowed, gripping his mother's hand tightly. The weight of the moment settles in. Rody, awkwardly rubbing his neck, Kaminari, quiet, frowning, should we do something? Silence. Then Bakugo turns on his heel, shoving his hands into his pockets. Bakugo, gruffly, but not unkind, tch. Let's go. The nerd doesn't need an audience right now. No one argues. One by one, they walk away, leaving Izuku alone in the hospital room clutching his mother's hand, lost in his own silent storm. Later afternoon Izuku sits beside his mother, holding her hand tightly. His face is still damp with tears, but relief washes over him as he watches her slowly open her eyes. Inko smiles weakly at him, lifting a trembling hand to wipe his tears away. Inko, softly, voice weak but warm, Izuku, don't cry, sweetheart. I'm okay. Izuku sniffles, his grip tightening as he lowers his head. The fear of losing her had shaken him to his core. Izuku, voice cracking, I was so scared, Mom, you're the only one I have. Inko smiles gently, caressing his cheek. Inko, lovingly, silly boy, I'm still here, aren't I? Izuku lets out a shaky breath before nodding, forcing a small, relieved smile. Then, Inko's expression turns serious, her fingers squeezing his hand lightly. Inko, promise me, Izuku. No matter what happens, you'll finish college and graduate. Izuku blinks, surprised by her sudden request. But then, seeing the determination in her eyes, he nods firmly. Izuku, softly, but with conviction, I promise, Mom. Inko smiles at him, eyes shining with pride. Izuku leans forward, wrapping his arms around her in a gentle hug, careful not to hurt her. She rests her hand on his back, comforting him as he holds on for just a moment longer. A few seconds later the doctor enters the room, holding a clipboard. He walks over to Inko's bedside, offering a reassuring smile before addressing Izuku. Doctor, calmly, your mother's condition is stable, but she needs to take these prescribed medications daily. A healthy diet and proper rest are also important to prevent another incident. Izuku nods attentively, absorbing every word. Doctor, I'll have a nurse bring in her meals and go over the schedule with you. Inko, smiling softly, thank you, doctor. As the doctor leaves, Izuku watches his mother for a moment, determination settling in his heart. He'll do whatever it takes to ensure her health and safety no matter what. Outside the room, unbeknownst to Izuku, the death row gang is still lingering outside. While Bakugo had walked off earlier, the rest of them had stayed behind, leaning against the walls or sitting in the waiting area. Todoroki glances toward the room, hearing the faint murmur of conversation inside. Kirishima, sighing, rubbing the back of his neck, man, I didn't expect this. Poor dude. Sero, arms crossed, thoughtful, he acts like a loner, but his mom's the only one he has. No wonder he freaked out. Kaminari, quietly, he hides a lot, huh? Todoroki doesn't say anything, but his gaze lingers on the hospital room door, deep in thought. Then Bakugo returns, hands stuffed in his pockets, scowling as usual. Bakugo, gruffly, why the hell are you guys still here? Kirishima gives him a knowing smirk, but doesn't say anything. Instead, he just pats Bakugo's shoulder before walking off. The rest follow, one by one, leaving Todoroki standing there for a moment longer before he too finally walks away. Inside the hospital room, Izuku holds his mother's hand, unaware that despite their words the death row gang had stayed longer than they needed to.